in class and we're gonna go over what we learned last week. Last week we learned about weathering, erosion, and deposition. So today we're gonna learn about sedimentary rocks and fossil fuels. So if you can look at this, and I want you guys to tell me what you see in these rocks.
I see they're sedimentary rocks.
I see some.
How do you know they're sedimentary rocks?
Because they're pressed together.
They're pressed. How do you see that they're pressed together?
Because there's little parts on them.
Little parts?
Yes.
What do those little parts look like?
Looks like rocks, sand.
Okay, but how can you tell those are rocks and sand?
Well, you can see those little pieces in there.
So they're smooth or they're rough?
Well, it depends on the rock.
Okay, so like that one. What do you?
Like
What is
that
that?
That's probably smooth.
That's
It's
smooth.
And that
That one
one's
is
probably
rough.
That's rough. Okay.
It just depends on the rock.
What about these? What does that look like?
That
Those
looks
look like lots of sand.
Lots of sand? Good. Okay. So we're gonna go and we're gonna do a little bit of vocab. We're gonna go over what weathering is. Jeffrey, can you read this to me?
Yeah. Weathering breaks it down. The breakdown of materials, clay, sand, rock fragments of the Earth's crust into smaller pieces.
Okay. And erosion is the next part. It takes the pieces from the weathering. The process by which water, ice, wind, or gravity moves fragments of a rock and soil, which are sediments, from one place to another. How much erosion takes place is determined by the sum, which is the amount of it, the slope, you see the slope here,
Yeah.
and the speed, how fast it takes it down, because when it's in
And
the
the
water,
surface.
it takes it faster, right? And what surface it's on.
The
So, next is deposition. Deposition, it drops it, the process by which sediments are laid down in new locations, building new landforms, and these landforms are deltas, we talked about that last time, canyons, and we have the floodplains and meanders. Okay, now we're going to go over what you think, what are types of sedimentary rocks? Jeffrey, what do you think is a sedimentary rock?
You got oil slate
So, slate,
or shale, whatever they call it.
shale.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Emma, what do you think? You don't know? Okay. So we have clay,
You got limestone,
limestone. Okay.
sandstone.
And sandstone. Okay. Now let's move on to fossil fuels. What do you think fossil fuels are?
They are
Bones?
used
Let's
for
let Emma try it, Jeffrey.
bones.
Bones? Like fossils? In a way, fossils turn into fuel, into the ground over time. We have, what's something that you might use to make your car go?
Gas.
Oil. And then we have, what? Jeffrey, give me
petroleum.
petroleum. How is petroleum made? Do we know?
Well, you put it in your oven. You have it in an oven.
In an
Use
oven?
fire.
Yeah. But what is in the petroleum? We're going to learn about how fossil fuels are made. Because we have natural gas and
Coal.
coal. Something you might learn about in your history class. Because it used to make a lot of things run off of coal.
Like trees.
Like trains. Good job, Jeffrey. Okay, so we're going to be going over cementation, compactation, and then the way to make a fossil fuel with peat, lignite. We're going to talk more about peat and lignite, and that is the part of compactation and cementation in coal. Heat and pressure is something that helps create that coal. And we're going to talk about the peat, which is a brown deposit resembling soil formed by the partial and decomposition vegetable matter in the wet, acidic conditions. Lignite is a soft brownish coal showing traces of plant structure. So somewhere you might see these together is in gardening and fuel. And they create a fossil fuel. A fossil fuel, like Emma said, is a fossil. It's a natural fuel formed in the geological past from remains of living organisms. So you were right, Emma. They are created by fossils like, what's a big fossil that we hear about all the time? A dinosaur. Good job. So in this lesson today, we're going to learn how do sedimentary rocks form, what are fossil fuels, and how do they form. So we're going to go ahead and work on our lab. So here is your lab, and you have all your pieces here. We have, get a plastic cup with your name on it. Emma, Jeffrey. All right, now we're going to choose a plastic dinosaur or a bug to put. That is your fossil fuel. So that goes at the bottom of your, all right. Next, we're gonna put 6 spoonfuls of soil to cover the dinosaur. So this is our soil. Y'all share it. And we're gonna 6 spoonfuls. Mm-hmm.
1, 2.
Might want to get a little bit more, Emma.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, you get one more just because you got half for like 2 of them. There you go. Okay, so the soil is what part, Jeffrey and Des, do you think?
Soil is probably the peat.
The peat?
Yes.
Okay, but about what we learned last week, what do you think? Weathering, erosion, or disposition? Or deposition?
Weathering.
You think it's weathering?
Maybe.
It breaks it down, or it takes it, or it drops it?
Yes, it breaks it down.
Breaks it down. Well, it actually drops it. Mm-hmm. It's gonna be, the sediments are laid down, which it's laid down, and it helps to form your landform. All right, your next step is to put 6 spoons of sand. Can you get that for me, Linda?
Oh, it's heavy.
It is heavy. There's a lot in there, huh? Okay, so make sure you get 6 spoonfuls.
1.
Remember our rules about labs? We only use it for lab purposes. No blowing on it, no making it in someone's eye. Be safe in our labs.
Not throwing it.
No throwing it, yes.
Wait, how many spoons have I done?
You did 3.
4.
You could do an extra for good measure if you want. Looks like there's someone got a rock in there. Let me get that.
5. 6.
And 1 for good measure.
6.
Okay. Alright. So, when we put it in there, make sure it's starting to cover your dinosaur, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, Emma, what do you think this part is? Is it deposition, erosion, or weathering?
I think it's with
Think it's weathering? Let's see, it breaks it down. So it breaks down of materials. It breaks down your clay, your sand, your rock fragments of the Earth's crust into smaller pieces. Did it break it into smaller pieces? No, not yet. It's actually a deposition as well because it's laying down. All right, our next one is going to be gravel. We don't have actual gravel, so if you can just take a handful of these little pebble marbles. All right. And then, what part do you think that is, Jeffrey?
Deposition.
Deposition. Why do you think it's deposition?
Well, it's parts.
It's what?
It's a process. Drops it.
It drops it. They're laid down. Here's our key word. It laid down. All right, so next is going to be the water. So let's be super careful and not spill it everywhere. All right, so Jeffrey, can you do 3 and let her do 3 and then back and forth? That way we're sharing it. Here, this will make it easier. Let's tip it. Want me to help you? I know you don't like wet things. 1. You want to do it? Okay. 2. Nope, more. You gotta get more in. There you go. Still didn't get it full. 1 more. There you go. Okay. Emma, you do 3, and then Jeffrey will do the rest of his 3. You gotta fill it all the way to the top. There you go. Okay. And let's just finish. Emma, what do you think this part is?
I think it's weathering.
Why do you think it might be weathering? Look at the way it goes into your. What do you think it might be in weathering?
It might be breaking down all this stuff.
But what type of weathering do we see that breaks down? That this water might represent? Let's look at our context clues of the picture. What do we see? What's a weathering it might do? Jeffrey, let her finish. Flow. What is flowing? Through. What is this?
Speed.
Okay, what is this? What's coming out of the cloud? Is rainwater?
Yes.
So it's weathering. Okay? Did you get all yours?
Yes.
Jeffrey, did you finish yours?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we got that one right. So the weathering helps the cementation. So cementation is binding all these things together of particles or other things by cement. So do you think it's thick? Do you think it's thick in there?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you guys to do these steps by yourself. I want you to repeat. It says to repeat 2 to 6 times. But I want you to do it one more time, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do for compactation. So let's do the steps. Each of you do your own steps. So start at step. Let's see. We're going to start at step 3.
It says soil.
Oh, it says to repeat step 2 and through 6. So we got to put another fossil fuel in there. So let's do our fossil fuel. What fossil fuel did you use last time, Emma?
I used this dinosaur with short arms and a.
Oh, Jeffrey's going to use a dragonfly. You want to use a bug, Emma?
I'm gonna use an ant.
An ant. Good choice. Okay, well let's do step 3. Y'all keep going. I'm going to let you do it on your own and watch and make sure you're doing it right, okay? You can move your cup closer, Emma. It might help you. Okay, let's share, guys. Make sure you're covering up that ant. Make sure you get them covered.
4, 5, 6.
Okay, y'all are done with that step. Well, let's move on to next. What's next?
Next is the sand. 6 good spoons. 1.
It's okay if it's a little big. Sometimes the sand puts more in certain places. Nothing's precise in science. When it comes to making sedimentary rocks, you never have the same amount of
3,
or soil or sand.
4. 5. I think I see a little block.
Another one? Let me see.
Can I put it inside mine to make it more real?
Sure.
This one, 6.
Alright, what's next step, Jeffrey?
Next up, put 6 spoons full of water into the cup.
Okay. sharing, guys.
Remember the 3-spoon thingy?
Let's do 3.
1.
That wasn't a full spoon. You gotta make sure you get a full spoon.
Like this.
Let me help you. It's a little difficult.
Because it's in the cup.
Okay. Okay, Jeffrey, you do yours. Don't shake it. Need help? You got it. Remember what I did with her? Just tilt it a little bit. There.
Whoa. I really look real now because it's a rock.
Let me finish it up. What's the Emma, you gotta wait for your rest of your water. Hold on. Okay, Jeffrey, you can move on to the next step.
What are you doing?
What's the next step? It says
Take a
this-
second clear cup and
Nope,
push
not yet.
down the knob.
No, you skipped one. That's okay. You can always go back.
Ah.
Put your handful of rocks. Put your gravel.
Whoa.
Mhm.
Okay, my wire overflow.
It's okay.
Now it looks dirty.
It does look dirty. Okay, let's put a little bit more rocks.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you just a little bit more, Jeffrey. Okay, so step 7. Take the second clear cup and push it down on the layers. Now what is this doing, guys?
Making sedimentary.
Sedimentary. It's compacting it. When the layers are squeezed together and any water mixed in with the sediments, what are the sediments?
Sediment, sand, soil, gravel.
Is forced
False.
out. Alright, okay. One's a top. Okay. So look, all the water came to the top, but what does this look like? What does that look like, Emma?
Whoa.
Does it look like our pictures that we looked at earlier?
I don't know.
What about the rocks we saw earlier? Doesn't look like any of them?
It does.
It kind of looks like that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let's clean up this, and we're going to talk about exactly what we did. So what did you learn in this lab, Jeffrey?
What did I learn?
Yes.
About sedimentary rocks.
What about sedimentary rocks?
They're pressed together to make a rock.
And what is that called?
It's called weathering, erosion, deposition.
That's not pressing it together, though.
Oh,
What is
it
pressing it together?
Pressing it together.
Let's help ourselves with our vocab.
Oh,
Which one is pressing it together?
Sedimentation and compaction.
Compaction and sedimentation. Good job. Okay, let's clean up our little areas. Alright. And we're going to move on to some videos. And then I'm going to give you guys some questions to answer. They're really short videos. They're two. Jeffrey, let's. Thank you. Do you have a pencil, Emma?
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you have a pencil?
Well, it's right here.
Okay. Let's watch the YouTube videos on sedimentary rocks.
Did you ever stop and think about a sedimentary rock?
Oh, I love rock.
No, not rock music. I'm talking about the process of forming a rock. It takes a very long time and happens over and over again.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time to fill out your first couple of questions. How does a sediment form? What is compactation? And draw me a picture.
Sorry, your question.
Mm-hmm. Remember our lab we just did. That might help you with your picture. I want you to write it in your own words. Don't copy it off that, okay? Okay? compactation. What can you say about it in your own words?
That's fossil fuels.
Okay, so are we able to answer some of our questions? Let's see, Jeffrey. Alright, what is a fossil fuel?
It's a fossil fuel, remains of an old organism.
Okay, so what did it tell us about how coal is made? How's coal made? What did it say it's broken up to make coal?
You gotta put it some types of parts.
Plants or parts?
Dead plants, fossils.
Okay, what dead plants did it give us an example of? Do you remember, Emma? No? It said ferns
Big trees.
and trees. Okay, and it said what made oil? That was pretty interesting. What made oil?
Oil. Fossils.
No, I guess it was more of what? It was broken down and they were kind of like something that organisms. Good, Emma. It was like bugs. And how did oil and coal get created? Just like we talked about with the compactation and sedimentation. This is how we make our fossil fuels. Heat and pressure make coal,
And oil.
but it said what happens to make our natural gases? What happens? Did you remember what it said?
Organisms and
Yes, it said that it was oil, but what happens in order to get that oil to be a natural gas? There's even more heat and pressure. There's extra. It's hotter and there's more pressure than when making oil. That creates the natural gases. Now, is the natural gas, oil, coal, petroleum, are these fossil fuels renewable?
no,
No. Why are they not renewable?
because once you have it, they take a long time.
They take millions of years to create. So we can't renew them, let's say 10, 20, 100 years. It takes a long time, right? So what are they doing? What are the examples they gave us that we're doing?
We're using more stuff for renewable resources.
Yeah, and those are
Solar.
the solar, wind, and water. And we're going to talk more about that next class when we talk about our renewable resources. So we're going to do a Kahoot to go over what we have learned. Okay. So. Oh, yeah. Alright. Here you go, Emma. Alright, we're going to start. 5 questions. Can y'all see it?
Yes.
How do sedimentary rocks form? In 6 stages overnight, in 4 stages, in 4 levels. Choose which one you think it is, Emma. Just choose one. 6 stages, 4 stages.
What was the question?
How do sedimentary rocks form? It's like what we did here. How many stages? Alright, 6 stages. It times you. You gotta make sure you're doing the time, okay? Let's try it again. Ready? You just choose one, okay? If you don't know, you can guess. Alright, Jeff. What is a fossil fuel? Bones? Decomposition over 10 years? Decomposition over millions of years? Dead animals decomposing within 1 month? Alright. Who got that one? Alright, it's okay. How could fossil fuels present challenges to the environment? They can harm the ozone layer. They could kill animals here on Earth. They could damage the Earth by being extracted or extinct, or all of the above. Alright, you both got it right. Good job. Alright, Jeffrey, you're on fire. How can we prevent fossil fuels from being used up quickly? Use wind power, use hydropower, use solar power, or all of the above? Yay, you both got it right. Okay, last one. What are the 6 stages of sedimentary rocks in order? Weathering, erosion, deposition, compactation, sedimentation, sedimentary rock. Sedimentation, weathering, deposition, compactation, erosion, sedimentary rock. Erosion, weathering. Oh, Jeffrey got it right. All right, Jeffrey, you won. 5 out of 5. Good job. All right. So next we would do a lab, and I would go around and check their work. It's more of an edible lab where they would create sedimentary rocks themselves with Rice Krispie treats and M&Ms, and they would be able to eat it at the end. The next part is going to be their exit ticket part of the day, where they're going to tell me what each session is. Okay, so we're going to go over our exit ticket and make sure you got everything. So, this is our first stage. Let's put it here. What do we think the first stage is?
The first stage is weathering.
Emma, what do you think it is?
I just said it.
Jeffrey? Weathering, okay. You are correct. Next, try to raise our hand next time. Off our phones, please. Alright, so the second part. So, in the weathering, we see here is all the rock, and then there's ice right here, and here's our little friend. We're going to call him Ricky the Rock. Here's the second part. Ricky the Rock gets moved into the river. And then here's all the other pieces of the rocks flowing, and here he is up in the river. What do you think this part is, Jeffrey?
Erosion.
Erosion. Why do you think it's erosion?
Because it's moving it.
It's moving it, okay. Oh, that didn't stick. Emma, can you help me with give me some pieces of tape? Alright, so, our next part is, we're in the river again, and here is Ricky the Rock, and he is
stuck.
Yes, Jeffrey, he got stuck. Where did he get stuck?
Got stuck in the ground.
The bottom of the river. What part do you think that is? Deposition. Where do you see deposition on here?
Well, you see deposition right there.
Where? Here? Here? Show me.
In the river where the rocks are.
Good job, Emma. In the river where the rocks are.
Jeez.
Alright, the next one is going to be what we talked about. Pressure. So here is over time, here's Ricky the Rock. This is now layers of rock. He got at the end of the river, maybe at the delta, where there's layers. And he is in the middle. And then there's pressure, like we did in our lab, pushing down. What do we think this one is?
Sedimentation.
Sedimentation?
There's a compaction.
Alright. Jeffrey says it's sedimentation. Emma, do you agree?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Here's our next one. So, here is over 1 million years. We have Ricky the Rock, and here's the rock. It's gotten really big. It's like a, what is this called?
That is rock.
Uh,
Or layers.
Where is it at, maybe? It's like a plateau.
Desert?
A desert. Good job, Emma, with the plateau. What is that one?
Compaction.
Compaction. Why is it compaction?
Layers.
The layers.
Squeezed together.
Alright, here is our last guy. And he is Ricky the Rock, and he is a sandstone. He's done. He's got layers. We cut him out and we built a house with him, right?
And this is final product.
This is my final product. Let's check our work and make sure we got it correct. Let's check it. So then we would do our summative assessment where we're going to take a test and we're going to have vocabulary where we would match our definitions to our words, and then we're going to have short answers. Okay? And then next week we're going to work on renewable energy and renewable resources, right?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, class.